Good evening, everyone. My name is Sindhu, and my project this year was to advance rural health awareness in Tamil Nadu with an organization called the Rural Women's Social Education Center. Before I talk a little bit about my project, I wanted to give you some context into why I chose this project, or perhaps why this project chose me. So, growing up in the United States, I sort of had this loss of identity as an Indian American, and I really didn't understand what it meant to be Indian. And I was looking for a way, a means to reconnect with India and understand what it's like to be an Indian, more specifically what it means to be an Indian woman. And so, after coming past this project, I was very interested, and it really pulled me in. I was partnered with an organization that not only serves women, but it also seeks to empower women, Dalit women in rural Tamil Nadu. And along with this need to understand what it means to be an Indian woman, my passion and interest in health, not just healthcare in general, but really in promoting health education and really health behaviors, I was really drawn to this project to advance rural health awareness. So, what does it mean to advance rural health awareness? I know that sounds like a kind of abstract concept, and indeed it is. So, what RUSEP chose to do was to advance rural health awareness by establishing a health resource center. So this health resource center has a number of streams, and some of the initiatives that we've been able to propel this past year have included translating health videos from English into Tamil. So one of the problems that we saw in the community was that a lot of the women who we choose to engage with are illiterate, especially those above the age of 30. So how do we engage with them? And so we realize now in this new recent era where plain charts with health information just doesn't cut it. So we wanted to advance rural health awareness by using new technologies like video. And so we were able to translate simple things like YouTube videos from English into the local languages for women to understand. Another initiative that we started this year was teaching young women self-defense. So a few weeks into my project, I became friends with a 16-year-old girl named Nisha. And Nisha had discontinued her education after 8th grade. And it wasn't her choice, it was her parents' choice. And she comes from a pretty conservative family. And her parents were really worried that if they sent her to high school, the nearest high school was 6 kilometers away. And if they sent her to high school either by bus or by auto, it was too unsafe for her to handle. And so I didn't want more girls like Nisha to have to discontinue their education because of these fears that parents and really society has about protecting women. There are these conceptions and these notions that women are more vulnerable than men, and they have to be protected and safeguarded. And so I wanted women to feel empowered and confident and in control of their bodies, so that they no longer had to be these passive victims of violence. And the two programs, though, that I really want to talk about today are health SMS, using SMS to send health message alerts, and the creation of women's walking groups. So, yes, please, next slide. So this is Suvinya, and Suvinya is one of our walking group leaders in Karnataka. This was the village that I was in. And Suvinya is a young, bright, excited 18-year-old girl who's just recently started college. She's studying a BBA at Andhra Pradesh College. Suvinya didn't always recognize the need for walking. And that was one of the issues too. With non-communicable diseases on the rise, or non-communicable diseases, lifestyle diseases like diabetes and hypertension that are really on the rise and are becoming an increasing problem in India. And this is not just in rural areas, but this problem affects people in rural areas in cities from north to south, east to west. And really not just in India, but all over the world. And so how do we get rural women to take a more proactive role in managing their health? And this idea to create women's walking groups, you know, people have a lot of doubts about this. I honestly don't know where this idea came from, but it was just something I wanted to try. And people had their doubts. You know, well, why are people going to come walking with you? You know, how is this going to work? But we found a way to make it successful with young and bright leaders. So along with Suganya's responsibilities of being a full-time new college student, she also carries on the responsibilities of being a walking group leader. So that means waking up at 3:45 a.m. I don't know, you know, before starting these walking groups, I wasn't really much of a morning person. I wasn't regularly about at 3:45 a.m. And you know, maybe even by a show of hands, is anyone up at that hour? But these are women who are motivated to go walking at 3:45 a.m. because as women, there's no other time for them to go walking during the day. And that really was a powerful message, and it was a really powerful and inspiring thing for Suganya to lead these women walking every morning, and who still continues to lead them walking every morning even now. And it wasn't just inspiring for the rest of the women, but it was truly inspiring for me. And another innovation that we started this year was sending out health message alerts through SMS. So we heard about sanitation in Zishan's presentation, and it actually turns out, there was an article in the Hindu this past year, that more people in India have cell phones than they do toilets. And we wanted to, as unfortunate as that statistic is, we really wanted to harness this new and upcoming technology. You know, cell phones are present even in the most rural pockets of India. And so what we wanted to do is we wanted to engage with this new mobile technology, again, to advance rural health awareness. And in setting up this system, and to make this sustainable, it was actually one of our nurses in our organization in RUSEC who actually sends this. And this nurse is Arimati. She's the same age as I am. And as a grassroots organization, RUSEC tries to stay as grassroots level as possible. And so we hire people from villages themselves to run the organization. And so Arimati was born and brought up in a village. And she coming into this project, she did not know how to turn on a computer. And after this, she's sending these messages now herself. She's logging in on the computer, using the internet, typing in these messages in Tamil Unicode font, and is able to send them herself. And you know, one of the most inspiring moments for me was seeing the look on Arimati's face when she typed in her own mobile number and sent a message to her own phone. And she was able to see and really realize what she herself was capable of. And it was something that before she had never imagined she would have been able to have done this. And you know, just seeing the brightness in her eyes when she was saying, you know, I'm going to go home and show my parents this, was just something that is priceless. And really, one of the things that I really took away this year, one is it Indicorps values, and really more than just an Indicorps value, it's kind of a life value, was really looking more at the process and creating change and discovering change and understanding, rather than focusing on the product. I think in a lot of things in life, and even coming into this Indicorps project, I was always looking at, you know, what am I going to be able to produce? What are my deliverables? You know, how do I get to X, Y, Z as fast as I can? And I realized more sort of towards the end of this fellowship year that it's more important to focus on the process of change rather than just focusing on a quick end result or a quick fix. And this picture that you see here, this is our new Budding Health Resource Center. And you know, the posters that you see on this wall, or the books that you see on this table in the back, it looks like something that maybe I could have done by myself in maybe an hour, maybe back in September when I first started this project. But this is something that only happened exactly a week before today, last Saturday. And what is more important than that is that the fact that I had nothing to do with this. This was all done by the members of the organization themselves, who made it important and saw it as something that they needed to do to set this up. So even personally, finding my own Indian identity, I realized 1 year is not enough, and this is something that I still need to search further. And now I'm actually more excited about the process of figuring out what it means to be Indian, what it means to be an Indian woman, no matter how many years that may take.